This is Market Manager Larry Gothrop. We are fortunate to be able to share our news, sports, and hosts with our listeners. It's because of you we will continue to work to be better in the months and years to come. So on behalf of our entire WHBC and Alpha Media family, we wish everyone a happy and safe holiday.
The following program is sponsored by the Medicine Center Pharmacies.
Good morning and welcome to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your pharmacist, Paul White. And we're very glad you joined us this morning. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Mercy Medical Center, Studio Arts and Glass, and of course our technical producer, J.D. DeAngelis. This morning in the studio with me is Brad White, a compounding pharmacist, and our very special guests, Reverend Joel Adkins from Westbrook Park United Methodist Church and Rabbi John Adland from Temple, Israel. Our topic today is spiritual health and peace during the holiday season. Good morning, Reverend and Rabbi, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Good morning.
The holidays are about faith and family, and yet many struggle with staying spiritual during these times. Shouldn't the season bring peace on earth and joy to the world? As an added pressure of the holiday season demands more of our time and attention, and we suddenly find ourselves having no time to pray or seek God or nurture our faith. Your spiritual health is important to your overall health and well-being. And today we're going to talk with Reverend Adkins and Rabbi Adland about the faith, the healing of prayer, and as well as current events which highlight the need for love and respect in our communities. We'd like to remind our listeners today that our program is available on our podcast in your favorite smartphone app store. You can download our program, look for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy, and you can listen to any of our programs anytime. If you have any questions you'd like addressed today, you can post them up on our live Facebook feed, or you can give us a call here at the radio station at 330-450-1480.
So, Reverend, for many people, the holidays are only a reminder of life's changes, especially the bad ones. If people are feeling blue this holiday season, how can they acknowledge these feelings with help of their faith?
You know, the holidays are probably a great example of people's expectations exceeding the reality for what's going on in their life. November 1st, the day after Halloween, the Hallmark movies began, the Hallmark Channel movies.
Yeah.
And my wife and I watched them, and aren't they wonderful? You watch those, and everything always works out. Everything goes according to plan.
Always the same theme.
And everything is the way it is supposed to be. But that's a big mismatch between our reality and the fantasy world of TV. So I think for some people, they probably ought to get a grasp of that life does not always go as planned. And as far as faith, I think faith, having that grounding, having that in your life, being able to move forward into what comes next is certainly a support and something that helps us to get through those realities of life as opposed to the script we write in our heads or that we see on the television set.
So what words would you offer to those who feel that if their faith were stronger, they would not battle well, I don't know, this is not laid out right. If their faith was stronger, they could better deal with depression around the holidays and or sadness.
And I think, and you know well, Paul, that sadness and depression are two different things.
Yeah.
People are diagnosed with clinical depression. It's a reality. It's as certain as cancer, and it's something that many people have to deal with. All of us have sadness. That goes back to what I said earlier. Life doesn't go as planned. In December and January, for whatever reason, we have a huge uptick in the number of people that die, according to the CDC. Life doesn't go right. But the difference between being sad about the loss of something or someone is far different than a mental health problem that needs to be treated, certainly with faith, but also with the help of mental health professionals and whatever it takes to get through that, to get to the other side.
Maybe loneliness should have been put in this sentence too, because Brad and I in the stores, we talked to a lot of people that they're alone during the holidays. Happy New Year. There's nobody there, and Christmas time and other holidays, the Jewish holidays, nobody's around, and that's really when we talk to these people, we think, gee whiz, how can it be? How can there be nobody in their life?
And it happens, and probably that's where faith steps in, and faith communities are able to help if we're doing what we're supposed to do.
So, Rabbi, we know that many rely on faith and prayer for healing in time of physical injury or illness. Do you believe a community of faith responds with the same spirit to the needs of the depressed and lonely, or is it quiet, isolated suffering, or is it both? Or all the above, actually?
Well, I think what Reverend Adkins said sort of goes to part of this, and the fact that depression is a clinical, is something that's clinical. It's something that is a function oftentimes of body, of chemical, of mind and chemical, and depression is not something that church, temple communities are always equipped to deal with. That's why we have psychiatrists and psychologists and people like that who can do the right kind of work there. It's not that churches or synagogues can't, but there's certainly professionals that can. Loneliness, which is what you were getting to before, that's different. And loneliness, there could be two parts to it. One is there are lonely people who come to the church or the synagogue. You see them walk through the doors. They're by themselves. When they sit down in the pews, they sit in the back or off to the side. They're not necessarily connected with people. That is the responsibility of the faith community, to greet them when they come into the door, to make sure that if it's possible to have them sit near somebody, to give them that sense of community. I mean, they're coming there not just to pray, they're also coming there for community. But there got to be a lot of people in the community, in our faith communities, who never show up. And then you don't know always about how lonely they are. You may call them, you may do a call to their house, you may call them on the phone, but you aren't always aware of the loneliness that's there. So sometimes there needs to be a little bit of effort, even on the person who's lonely, to take the first steps forward. And at least in our community, I know that there'll be somebody there to greet them, to say hi to them. And that's so important when somebody walks in the door, that they reach out their hand and they say hello.
Sure. So what other suggestions do you have for our listeners who want to help friends, people, church members, that lonely person that sits down alone in the back of the church? I can't get over it at our church how many people sit in the back. You can't see anything. You can't hear anything. So why sit in the back of the church? You know, I've seen this for years, growing up in various churches. So,
well, in our sanctuary, one of the ways that we cured that is that we don't get a large attendance on Friday nights when we have our service. So we do everything. We don't do it up on the raised area. We do it down below, and then I have a mic on that I can just move around. So you might want to sit in the back, but I may end up 4 feet away from you. So if you're trying to sit to get away, it isn't going to happen.
You are in a sense, Paul attends where I pastor, and in a sense, you are my twin brother. That is what I've had to do: step out of the pulpit, come down, and get amongst the folks.
But you ask about what we can do. Church staffs, temple staffs are limited, and we do what we can, but we have so many different responsibilities. But if you know that there's somebody, if you're aware, if somebody says something to me, sometimes if you just make the call, or sometimes you just make a little bit of the effort, it can go a long ways. Some people are not really needy. They may be lonely, but they're not necessarily needy. But so just once in a while, just putting out your hand and saying hello or making that call can go a long ways towards making somebody feel a little bit better.
We try to engage our customers and patrons in conversation. Some people don't want to talk. I mean, I'm too busy, whatever, see you later, But a lot of people, they just want to talk for a few minutes. And
haven't you noticed in stores, I mean, not necessarily your store, but stores, even the big ones like Lowe's, where I'll go, that there is somebody there at the entrance who will say, hello, welcome to Lowe's.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen 10 years ago.
Right.
There has been a change that you need. If you see somebody walking in and you don't make an effort with them, they're going to turn around and walk out of the store without buying anything.
Well, most of the stores are so big, there's a natural engagement. What would you like me to help you find today? Or what are you here for today? Or what can I help you with? So there's a natural opening, for that sort of conversation. It's not like it used to be where the stores were much smaller and you go into Menards or you go into Lowe's. Okay, where's it at? So it's always way back there in the corner. Why is it back in the corner?
All right, let's talk about maybe some of the more humbling things that happen in the community. Recently in Pittsburgh, we had a shooting, which was rather disturbing. And I guess I continue to be amazed at the violence toward different religious beliefs. Can you both comment on how you help keep your parish or your group engaged and positive and not afraid to share their faith with others when there's a fear out there that people that are just always going to be against a particular discipline?
Well, and you're right. This was an incredible, frightening, and emotionally draining experience, this Pittsburgh shooting. I was in Israel with a group, and we were up on the Golan Heights, so there it was Saturday afternoon, and we had just come back into cell service, and everybody's phones blew up on the phone with what was going on. There was a couple people on the trip who had lived in Pittsburgh who didn't know necessarily anybody who was injured or killed, but certainly knew the area, knew the clergy and things like that. So when I got back about a week later, we knew we needed to do something. We needed to be able to gather the community together, to be able to. This is where prayer and healing was so very important. And it happened across communities across the country. And so we had a speaker coming in to talk, who was there to talk about social justice. And we took a half an hour at the beginning of that to do a service, to remember, to light some candles, to give people a chance to just to take a deep breath. But we know it's not over. We saw what happened. We read what happened up in Toledo. Somebody wanted to go in and kill a rabbi, and the Jewish community has really taken stock of its security and its position. For a long time in this country, certainly, I was born in the early 50s. For a long time in this country, we have felt as if we were part of this country. And that didn't happen in every place that we have lived, and it wasn't even part of the way it was in the early days in America. People saw the Jewish community as other instead of as one of us. But in the last couple years, the heightened anti-Semitism has just put the Jewish community a little more on alert. And there are people who are deeply involved in the community who are there and present, and we talk about it. But there are a lot of marginal people who maybe belong, but we never see them, and we don't know how they're feeling or what their desires are. We've taken measures around the community to be a little more aware and secure and this kind of thing. But it really it caused everybody to take a deep breath and to take stock on who we are and why we're here and why we need each other.
I don't get it. I don't get this anti-Semitism. I don't get any of this. I don't understand why. I'm a historian. I read many books. I've watched many movies, and I know what happened historically in Germany and things like that. I don't get it. Why is the Jewish race singled out? Like we've got Italian places, we've got Muslim places in this country. What is the deal here? I know this is probably not the proper place to be kicking this around, but it just amazes me as an adult who's been on this earth for 75 years. I cannot figure out what this is about.
I wish I could really answer it all. I can hit a point here and a point here and a point there. But it's certainly something that I'm thought about in every church group I go into and talk about Judaism. It is a question that I'm asked. Why do people hate the Jewish community so much? And there are answers, but there's no good answer.
Just keeps on going, huh? Oh. Okay, it's time for our first break. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now by visiting medshoprx.com. That's medshop.rx.com. We'll be back with more of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy in just a moment.
Hi, this is Brad White, your Medicine Center pharmacist. Are you paying big bucks for a little blue Viagra pill? There's a better alternative. Starting at only $4 per dose with a prescription from your doctor, the Medicine Center Pharmacy can prepare a sildenafil or tadalafil tablet that melts in your mouth for an affordable price. This allows you to take care of business and still have money left over for dinner and a movie. The Medicine Center Pharmacy has 4 locations in Stark and Tuscarawas counties. We're here to keep you healthy and save you money. Give us a call at 330-339-4466 for more information.
With a heart attack, every second counts. Every moment the blood supply to your heart is cut off or reduced leads to heart damage or death. Mercy Medical Center can stop a heart attack in record time. Mercy is the only hospital in the nation that can open a blocked artery right in the ER just minutes after arrival, saving lives and preventing further heart muscle damage. That's because Mercy's Emergency Chest Pain Center was America's first to achieve full accreditation and the first to install a fully functional cardiac catheterization lab just a few steps away from our ER doors. The average time in the U.S. from ER arrival to opening of a blocked heart artery is 64 minutes. At Mercy, thanks to our ER cath lab and the area's most experienced emergency heart care team, it's faster. We're capable of opening a blocked artery in as little as 5 minutes. If you have heart attack symptoms, get to Mercy. We can stop a heart attack in record time. To learn more, visit cantonmercy.org/heart.
Brighten your day with beautiful stained glass from Studio Arts and Glass. Let the sun shine in through a stunning beveled glass window that forms a rainbow on your walls. Commission a piece of art to cherish for years. All at Studio Arts and Glass on Apple Grove and 77 in North Canton. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, or shop online at studioartsandglass.com. That's studioartsandglass.com.
The holiday season is in full force. We've extended our most recent sale so you can save big at the Half Off and Hot Buy store in Louisville. All Christmas merchandise is discounted an extra 50% off the already reduced prices. Plus, save an additional 50% off trees and an extra 30% off all toys. Buy one 25-pound bag of sidewalk salt and get the second bag free. Christmas cards are 10 for $1. Yes, that's just 10 cents each. These are just some of the deals at the Half Off and Hot Buy store in Louisville, so come in and get them before they're gone. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for pictures or visit halfoffhotbuy.com. Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Today we're talking about spiritual health this holiday season with Reverend Joel Adkins from Westbrook Park United Methodist Church and Rabbi John Adland from Temple, Israel. Have a question? Post it on our live Facebook feed or call us at 330-450-1480. Did I get that right?
All right, Reverend Adkins. Before the break, we were talking with Rabbi Adland about the unfortunate shooting that happened in Pittsburgh and how his congregation reacted and how they took care of themselves. What about your congregation? So many events that happen in the world, you look at and shake your head. You can't understand it, but I guess, like you said, it's not TV. You can't solve all these problems in a 30-minute sitcom. So how do we help people that we care about get through emotional situations like that really touch us?
Yeah, Brad, I'm going to go back to what was being talked about before the break, and that is to say that what causes this and what brings it on. And at the end of the day, it's a sin-sick world. We live in a world where sin's a reality, and this is just a part of that, but a very big part of that. I stayed up late the day that this happened, October 27th. I stayed up late, rewrote the entire message for the congregation. And the message really, as I recall it and think about it, was that we had to talk about this, and we had to talk about the reality of hate in the world. Why is hate in the world? Why would somebody do that? I took note of the fact, and this may or may not have been true, but in the immediate hours after that shooting in Pittsburgh, the reports were that the shooter was saying these words: all Jews must die. And at the end of the day, I got to tell you, there is no we and they with regards to anybody. It's us. And we need to stand in solidarity with the Jewish community and any other community that is facing the hatred, the realities of violent hatred that occurs, unfortunately, in our country. The words, all anybody must die, but certainly all Jews must die, that's just hatred. That is hate, and it's a terrible word. We don't like to talk about it, but you see it, and we have to deal with it, recognize it, and deal with the public discourse to try to change the world in which we live. I refer back to Jesus. You know, Jesus said, you've heard it said, don't murder. But he said, I say to you, if you're angry with somebody in your heart, you've committed murder already. And we need to recognize the spiritual reality of what lies within us, the propensity to do really bad things, and try to change our world to make it a better place so that our kids, our children, don't have to grow up with the same things that our world currently is dealing with, because it's everywhere. And I want to say one more thing. Twitter and social media and our leaders being able to say things at times that are unsavory and that are hateful, I think are unhelpful in the discourse. I think we need to recognize that, either turn that off or change our leaders so that we find some folks that are able to say good things, positive things, that do not perhaps light a match to events happening. And I'm not blaming anybody, please don't hear that wrong, but our discourse has to change.
We have to talk to each other, not on a device. I can't get over the kids that sit beside each other and are texting back and forth on their device.
Yeah.
Not talking to each other. Come on.
Yeah.
Why is, I mean, that has to me, that's a novelty, and by now it should have gone away. You know, I guess.
I don't think it's going away, but I think it's here to stay, and I think we can use it for our good as well. But I also think that some of our leaders need to be careful about the language that is used, particularly when it hits such a wide audience. What took place there in Pittsburgh, as I understand it, was the worst event against the Jewish community in the United States history. I may be wrong about that, but that's what I heard, and that's what I've read. That shouldn't have happened. That should not happen, and we need to change the discourse and try to get things going in a better direction. We need to be able to get along, whether you're a different religion, whether you're a different color, whatever your difference is, the hate has to go away.
I agree with that. Bottom of the hour, time for the news. Thanks for joining us this morning on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now by visiting medshoprx.com. That's medshoprx.com. We'll be back with more of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy in just a moment.
Medicine Center Pharmacy was named the 2018 Best of the Best Pharmacy, and we'd like to thank our customers and our staff for the honor. Our 13 pharmacists in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia help keep you healthy and save money, from free kids' vitamins to compounded prescriptions and affordable diabetes care. Ask how we can help, and don't forget, we have free screenings at our pharmacies on Tuesdays. Call 330-454-8772 for more information or visit medshoprx.com. medshoprx.com. The holiday season is in full force. We've extended our most recent sale so you can save big at the Half Off and Hot Buy store in Louisville. All Christmas merchandise is discounted an extra 50% off the already reduced prices. Plus, save an additional 50% off trees and an extra 30% off all toys. Buy one 25-pound bag of sidewalk salt and get the second bag free. Christmas cards are 10 for $1. Yes, that's just 10 cents each. These are just some of the deals at the Half Off and Hot Buy store in Louisville, so come in and get them before they're gone. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for pictures or visit halfoffhotbuy.com.
Brighten your day with beautiful stained glass from Studio Arts and Glass. Let the sun shine in through a stunning beveled glass window that forms a rainbow on your walls. Commission a piece of art to cherish for years. All at Studio Arts and Glass on Apple Grove and 77 in North Canton. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, or shop online at studioartsandglass.com. That's studioartsandglass.com.
Hi, this is Brad White, your Medicine Center pharmacist. Are you paying big bucks for a little blue Viagra pill? There's a better alternative. Starting at only $4 per dose with a prescription from your doctor, the Medicine Center Pharmacy can prepare a sildenafil or tadalafil tablet that melts in your mouth for an affordable price. This allows you to take care of business and still have money left over for dinner and a movie. The Medicine Center Pharmacy has 4 locations in Stark and Tuscarawas counties. We're here to keep you healthy and save you money. Give us a call at 330-339-4466 for more information.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your host and pharmacist, Paul White. Today we're talking about spiritual health this holiday season with Reverend Joel Adkins from Westbrook Park United Methodist Church and Rabbi John Adland from Temple, Israel. We've got a lot more to cover this morning, so let's get back to the show.
All right, guys, so how do we move forward and maybe have a more positive spin on the rest of our program for our community? So let's talk about, one of the things we're facing in the pharmacy often is people that they're dealing with, we probably see not to the level that you have parishioners come to you for help, but we see people that sometimes talk to us as a pharmacist because they trust us and we help them with their medications and they may have issues. Mental health has become something that isn't maybe such a bad word anymore. It's more of an awareness that we all have some degree of mental health and wellness. It doesn't have to be a stigma, if you will. So one thing I wanted to mention is that there's a mental health first aid training course at Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Centers. It's January 15th and 16th, and you can contact Carrie Long at Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery at 330-455-6644. If you have a loved one or work in a position where you might be able to be an asset to someone who is struggling or needs help, my understanding is the program will give you some tools and abilities and some resources to recognize when a person is reaching out for you, maybe if they aren't formally asking, but it'll also help them find some resources to give them some support, and you may help save their life. So it might be a really important program that you could attend.
Rabbi Adland, when we have a conversation about faith and healing, are we talking about more than just a physical being?
I would say so. Faith is an interesting word in the Jewish community because we don't talk about it a lot. If you had to sort of define faith in Judaism, it's more about action. So your faith is lived through, I guess is the word I learned from the Christian community, through your works, through what you do, to the healing you can bring to the world, the repair that you can bring to the world. That's to be true, in my opinion, to be a truly faithful person is about how you act and how you live in the world. That would be part of the physical being, but you also need to be able to have that sense of relationship, in my humble opinion, with God, who is certainly there helping you figure out how to be the most faithful person you can be, how to do the best things for the people around you.
So when we talk about faith in healthcare, does prayer move beyond the patient and impact the professionals and family members involved in their care?
It's a very interesting question you're asking me, because I come from a family where my father was a Freudian psychoanalyst, so there wasn't a lot of faith involved in that. But my brother is a psychiatrist who's retired now.
I see.
And he was very, unlike my father, who really didn't understand the organized Jewish life. He didn't come from that kind of a family, and that's another longer story. My brother was very involved in his congregation. So I would think that I'm not sure that he brought necessarily his religion into his practice, but he certainly knew who he was and his relationship to God and the world around him, and in terms of the healing that he would help to bring. Okay. So I come from it's an interesting background that I come from. I always used to joke that my father would heal the mind and I would work on the soul, but it's not exactly like that.
Okay, so, all right. There's a heck of a lot of people in this world who have no physical activity whatsoever. Do you have a sense that physical, walking, running, better physical shape, plus religion, plus whatever else goes along with that, do you think that's additive?
I don't know. I think being inactive is going to lead to depression, and then you're going to get. We're going to go back to the beginning.
Exactly.
I think people need to be active, doing something, and it's not just sitting there reading. It's doing physical something. I have my hobbies. Other people have their hobbies. Just getting out and walking. The number of people that I see walking or running around my neighborhood, I know that is a healing aspect.
You're a woodworker, I think, correct? Yeah, okay. Furniture maker, things like that. Yeah, okay. That's what I heard. You ought to put a program on at the Rotary Club.
Well, I'm sure there are people who do it better than I do there, but
All right, Reverend, how about the power of prayer with respect to healing?
I knew we were coming to talk about this today, and you did not know that yesterday I was in Youngstown at the hospital with a family member. And as I was getting ready to leave, they said, "Would you pray?" And I prayed, but I really felt like, I wish somebody would pray for me. And, I stepped out into the hall. It's a pretty serious situation. I stepped out into the hall and turned my phone on, and there were 5 texts from friends of mine who said, "Hey, we're praying for you right now." It made a difference for me. My wife works at one of the local hospitals, and she will work all day on blood work and things in the lab. She doesn't know the name or who it is, but she will pray for those people. And it makes a difference for her, and we believe, because of our faith, it'll make a difference for those people as well. So I think prayer is key and helpful in the healing process, and I believe God honors it.
All right. So we pray for healing. Can we expect miracles of biblical proportion?
I'll definitely leave that one for you.
I believe God created it all. I believe God can do anything. I think we should expect anything, but I also think we should accept everything and understand that sometimes God does do the biblical, miracle, and sometimes God chooses to ask us to be the miracle as we live through what's going on. And prayer and faith and all of the things we're talking about today help us to be able to do that. I think, to see a miracle is one thing, but to see the miracle of somebody that has gone through something that I may never understand is just as big of a miracle, and prayer helps.
All right. How about this? This is one of personally my favorite times of the year, and maybe it's for the reflection on the year that has just passed and the excitement and the opportunities of what's to come. How about, how would you frame resolutions for people, whether they want to lose weight or become healthier or advance their knowledge of their faith? What would you suggest, 1 or 2 resolutions for a healthier spiritual life in 2019?
The first thing I would say is realistic expectations. And I think when people put out resolutions that are not realistic, and then they fail, then they see themselves as a failure. I didn't get to what I wanted. I think people need realistic expectations. If you want to lose weight, then make it a very say you're gonna try and lose this much weight, but don't make it unrealistic. If you're going to say that this year I'm going to get more involved in the community, I'm going to go do all of this stuff, you're not. But make it realistic. Say maybe you're going to have one more volunteer opportunity, or maybe you'll try a couple more volunteer opportunities. But realism is going to far outweigh the false resolutions that people make.
It'd be nice if you got all that stuff done, right?
It'd be great. It would be wonderful, but it doesn't happen, and how many people can actually remember the resolutions they make on January 1st, on February 1st?
That's because you got to write it down. How's that go? It's a goal is a dream in writing, I think is how that goes, right?
It is amazing. A number of people make the resolutions, and I didn't do this. I was supposed to do this, and I was going to commitment. I didn't do this. Jeez, it's just a sort of a fad, wouldn't you say? Anyway,
All right, well, let's talk about some holiday events. What holiday events do you have going on at your organizations that you can share with the public? And maybe if this is their time to work on their spiritual health, it'd be a perfect opportunity for them to know when they can take advantage of that and join you at your places of worship.
Let me go first. We get Christmas Day off.
Oh,
but we do too.
We are having our traditional Christmas Eve service on Christmas Eve at 7 p.m. and it's quite an event for us. And we'd invite the community, anybody that does not have a faith family to join us. It will last about 45 to 50 minutes, and we would love to have you with us.
Okay, why don't you give your address too?
Westbrook Park United Methodist Church, 2521 12th Street, Northwest in Canton.
Right across the street, almost from the hospital, sort of catty corner, I guess, Mercy Hospital. They got a luminary lighted sign there as you're going down 12th Street, I guess that is.
Right.
And they announce what's going on at the church. So, how about you, John?
We don't have really, I mean, this is the holidays that are coming up aren't our holidays, and Hanukkah, which is not really a big holiday, much more of a home-based kind of thing. It ended a while ago. It's a very light kind of thing. Our major holy days are in the fall, and they're temple-centered, and really the next big holiday coming up for us will be in the spring with Passover. Though there's always little things that happen. So, and when I say we get the day off, it's the Jewish community is always sort of they anticipate Christmas Day, because there's really nothing to do. You get to stay home and light a fire, or a lot of Jewish people go to the movies, or if I can just make the ultimate sort of Jewish stereotype, they eat Chinese food because it's the only thing that's open. And, it's okay. And you'll see these jokes all over Facebook as over the next week.
I used to think that it was extremely important that you had a certain faith and you went to a certain church, but anymore I think just go to church. That's where I get my spiritual enlightenment. I go to church to get spiritual enlightenment. I go to church to take my grandchildren. So it was years ago when I was much younger that you had to belong to a faith.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't cross the street and go to the Catholic Church or the whatever. You went to wherever. So
and you don't see that as much.
And I see that for the young people, which apparently are not going to church, and that's really sort of disappointing.
Well, there may be new models. When I was in another city, we had somebody came in to work on strategic planning, and we're talking about renovating the building and things like that. And one of the things he pointed out is that what you need to create is what's called the third space. It's a gathering space, and that's what the young people. It's why coffee shops took off. It's why those kind of places where they can come, they can sit. So they may be on their phones, but sometimes they're sitting there with more people than sometimes we were when I were younger.
For sure,
I was younger. But I think that having a faith community, having a community that you can celebrate the holidays with. At the appropriate seasons is very important. I think a faith community teaches you ethics and gives you grounding and gives you structure, and I think that the young people who sort of turn away from that, something else is going to have to fill that void sooner or later. And I'm not sure what it'll be. I would hope that Judaism or Christianity or Islam would fill that void, but we're in a dramatic change right now.
Okay, final break is here. Let's do Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy and your hosts, pharmacists Paul White and Brad White. Remember, you can get more information right now by visiting medshoprx.com. That's medshop.rx.com. We'll be back with more of Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy in just a moment.
With a heart attack, every second counts. Every moment the blood supply to your heart is cut off or reduced leads to heart damage or death. Mercy Medical Center can stop a heart attack in record time. Mercy is the only hospital in the nation that can open a blocked artery right in the ER just minutes after arrival, saving lives and preventing further heart muscle damage. That's because Mercy's Emergency Chest Pain Center was America's first to achieve full accreditation and the first to install a fully functional cardiac catheterization lab just a few steps away from our ER doors. The average time in the U.S. from ER arrival to opening of a blocked heart artery is 64 minutes. At Mercy, thanks to our ER cath lab and the area's most experienced emergency heart care team, it's faster. We're capable of opening a blocked artery in as little as 5 minutes. If you have heart attack symptoms, get to Mercy. We can stop a heart attack in record time. To learn more, visit cantonmercy.org/heart.
The warmer weather is here. Hi, this is Brad White from the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Perhaps you've gotten the urge to venture outside and clean up the garage or do some yard work, resulting in muscle aches and pains. If you have sore muscles or aching joints, you may want to consider a prescription pain-relieving cream available with a prescription at the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Our pharmacist can work with you and your physician to get topical pain creams that can be rubbed directly on the source, reducing inflammation and pain. Topical creams avoid troublesome side effects and dependency issues that can be caused by oral medications. The Medicine Center Pharmacy has an accredited compounding laboratory, and it is your source for custom medications. Custom compounded pain-relieving creams, available only at the Medicine Center Pharmacy, where wellness begins. Visit us at medshoprx.com for the pharmacy nearest you. That's medshoprx.com.
The holiday season is in full force. We've extended our most recent sale so you can save big at the Half Off and Hot Buy store in Louisville. All Christmas merchandise is discounted an extra 50% off the already reduced prices. Plus, save an additional 50% off trees and an extra 30% off all toys. Buy one 25-pound bag of sidewalk salt and get the second bag free. Christmas cards are 10 for $1. Yes, that's just 10 cents each. These are just some of the deals at the Half Off and Hot Buy store in Louisville, so come in and get them before they're gone. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for pictures or visit halfoffhotbuy.com. Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I'm your pharmacist, Paul White. Today we're discussing spiritual health this holiday season with Reverend Joel Adkins from Westbrook Park United Methodist Church and Rabbi John Adland from Temple, Israel. Let's get back to the last segment of the show.
All right, gentlemen, before we wrap it up today, how about each of you give us some thoughts to share with our communities for a positive holiday season and a happy new year, and some things that we can do to make sure that we're mindful of what's really important?
Positive things. You know, I thought about this week, if we would all just live our next year, you spoke a little bit about resolutions, if we would all live our next year the way that our Christmas cards and holiday cards have expressed it, if we would just find a way to live that out, and I guess for the Christian community, if we would learn just a little bit better to live with each other and live with God the way that Jesus did, if we could just do that, I think we'd have a far better world to live in, and that'd be my encouragement.
Mm-hmm. So when I email my Christian friends at this time of the year and I sign off, I never wish them a Merry Christmas. I always wish them a meaningful Christmas. I want this to be a spiritual, meaningful time of the year. It's not just about joy and holiday parties and all these kind of things. They should find some meaning in Christmas, and they should find meaning when it comes time for Easter, rather than just saying Happy Easter or Merry Christmas. But that's just me. Maybe this is the Jewish guy trying to change the world.
That's good. That's good.
What about some resources? I know you would certainly prefer people to come visit your locations and to be present in your places of worship. What if someone is reluctant to maybe share their faith but wants to learn more? Are there tips you can give people that might be something to help them build a bridge to be a stepping stone?
I would suggest community. We've talked a little bit today here about relationships, and yeah, you're right. I would love to see people come to my location. That's great. But more than that, I would encourage people to get a relationship with Jesus, to get a relationship with God, to get a relationship with each other. When we started off today and we were in the middle of the program, we were talking about the unfortunate, tragic situation in Pittsburgh. I think that comes down to relationships. Off air, we talked a little bit about the fact that sometimes people that do these terrible things are lonely people. And I think we have a responsibility to form relationships with each other that honor the God that we serve, and I think it'd make the world a better place. Find a community. Find some people that you can nurture your spirituality with. If that means with Jesus, find some people who love Jesus and love Jesus with them. If it means something else, be with the people who you are with and grow with them. Don't be a loner. Don't be an outsider.
Before we went on the air, when we were talking, we talked about small groups, and I think that in our congregation, we're certainly not a large congregation anyways, but there are small group opportunities, there's small learning opportunities, there's small opportunities to be with other people, and there are a lot of people who don't want to be in the large group, whatever it may be. But hopefully congregations will find a way to connect people with each other in smaller ways that could be meaningful. But the problem is we don't always know what all these people want, and hopefully they can reach out to us. You know, it's hard. There's only one of me, and there's 500 of the congregants. So sometimes it has to be they have to come to me and say, "I'm looking for something," and then it's our job to be able to help match them up and get them into that setting, get them to be not alone but with other people.
Very interesting.
It's interesting as I've listened to both of you talk today, and of course, we're coming from the world of the pharmacy world where we're trying to take care of health and wellness of patients and trying to innovate and still do it in a fashion that we can reach out to the people. But very much so, your particular focus in helping with people with their spiritual lives, you've had to innovate to reach different patients or different people in your congregation too, because you've got younger people who communicate differently than your older parishioners. So I find it interesting the similarities in our operation that we're trying to get a message out. You want it to be a positive message, but sometimes it's difficult because you don't exactly know how to connect with that person, and that kind of speaks a little bit to me on the loneliness part or the community part. And I think it's interesting that we all kind of have a different way of communicating, and maybe if we can work together, it might help us be a little bit more spiritually focused and more of a community and be present in our community. So, but very interesting.
I have a client in one of our stores that is totally wheelchair bound and actually has to control the unit with his buttons. He's apparently totally paralyzed, and this is a man that is always happy. And I talk to him every time he's in the store. We have a brief chat, maybe a long chat sometimes, and it amazes me that there's people like that because of a disability or because of an inability. Have you seen him? I don't know if you've ever seen him. But he's always in just an absolutely fabulous state of mind. And then you see other people that just kind of drag themselves in the store and hey, what's going on today, Joe? And well, I'm just having a bad day, but he's totally physically able and whatever else. So how do you get to that point as a person this guy's totally disabled, but he's always in a great mood.
He obviously has a positive outlook on life. And
there are people who just see the glass half full, even more than half full, and people who are happy. And regardless of whatever life has dealt them, they are not going to let it slow them down or keep them from living their lives. And so they approach life. But we also see people, and I'm sure you have this in your church, who walk in and they bring this dark cloud right with them wherever they go, and it's you do your best, but just say something positive.
I think I heard the word happy there several times. I think a good word is contentment. And one of the things that runs through my mind is that, I may look at somebody and say, gee, I wish I had their whatever. It may be their, whatever their situation is, whatever. But there's always somebody looking at us, too. And we don't realize that because we get so caught up in what we don't have, that half-empty situation, that we don't realize how full it really is if we just take a different look.
All right, gentlemen, how about a parting word of positive, glass half full outlook for the listeners?
30 seconds each.
Well, I learned something here today, and that is why you can't have a Merry Christmas. It's probably more important to have a meaningful Christmas.
Very good.
So
I
I
like
am going to join with John and say I hope that this year everybody has a meaningful whatever, but certainly a meaningful Christmas, that you find the real meaning of that, you find relationship, and find that happiness that only can come from those relationships that run deep.
And as we move out of 2018, which has certainly been a year filled with a lot of interesting moments, we move into the next year. My hope is that we will be able to take all of the positive energies we have in our lives and in our communities and make this world a better place.
Right.
So we don't have to have this hate and anger, that we can really transform the world into what God wanted this world to be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get this out there right away. So, Merry Christmas to all, Happy Holidays. Have a meaningful holiday season and a meaningful Christmas. Okay, I like that. That's great, and a Happy New Year. So, best wishes to our listeners for a happy and healthy holiday season. Also, thanks to Reverend Joel Adkins from Westbrook Park United Methodist Church. Rabbi John Adland from Temple Israel for joining us today. We'd like to remind our listeners, if you suspect you have a medical issue, please contact your healthcare provider. Thanks to our sponsors, Mercy Medical Center, Studio Arts and Glass, and of course our technical producer, J.D. DeAngelis. As always, we thank our listeners for joining us on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. We are a local Health Mart pharmacy caring for you and about you. Have a healthy week, and we'll see you right here next Friday on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
The preceding program was sponsored by the Medicine Center Pharmacies.